Never in human history has there been so much thinking, and never has there been so much turmoil on the planet. Could it be that every time we think of a solution to one problem, we create two more problems? What good is all this thinking if it doesn't lead to greater happiness? Are we happier, more equanimous, more joyful as a result of all this thinking? Or does it isolate us, disconnect us from a deeper and more meaningful experience of life? Thinking, acting, and doing must be brought into balance with being. After all, we are human beings, not human doings. We want change, and we want stability at the same time. Our hearts have become disconnected from the spiral of life, the law of change, as our thinking minds drive us towards stability, security, and pacification of the senses. With a morbid fascination, we watch killings, tsunamis, earthquakes, and wars. We constantly try to occupy our mind, fill it with information. TV shows streaming from every conceivable device, games and puzzles, text messaging, and every possible trivial thing. We let ourselves become mesmerized with the endless stream of new images, new information, new ways to tantalize and pacify the senses. At times of quiet inner reflection, our hearts may tell us that there is more to life than our present reality, that we live in a world of hungry ghosts, endlessly craving, and never satisfied. We have created a maelstrom of data flying around the planet to facilitate more thinking, more ideas about how to fix the world, to fix the problems that only exist because the mind has created them. Thinking has created the whole big mess that we are in right now. We wage wars against diseases, enemies, and problems. The paradox is that whatever you resist persists. The more you resist something, the stronger it gets. Like exercising a muscle, you are actually strengthening the very thing you want to rid yourself of. So then, what is the alternative to thinking? What other mechanism can humans use to exist on this planet? The belief in an external world, independent of the perceiving subject, is fundamental to science. But our senses only give us indirect information. Our notions about this mind-made physical world are always filtered through the senses, and therefore always incomplete. There is one field of vibration underlying all of the senses. People with a condition called synesthesia sometimes experience this vibratory field in different ways. Synesthetes can see sounds as colors or shapes, or associate qualities of one sense with another. Synesthesia refers to a synthesis or intermingling of the senses. The chakras in the senses are like a prism, filtering a continuum of vibration. All things in the universe are vibrating, but at different rates and frequencies. The Eye of Horus is made up of 6 symbols, each representing the senses. Like the ancient Vedic system, thought is considered to be a sense. Thoughts are received simultaneously as sensations are experienced on the body. They arise from the same vibratory source. Thinking is simply a tool, one of 6 senses. But we have elevated it to such a high status that we identify ourselves with our thoughts. The fact that we do not recognize thinking as one of the 6 senses is very significant. We are so immersed in thought that trying to explain thought as a sense is like telling a fish about water. Water? What water? In the last decade, Great advances have taken place in the area of brain research. Scientists have discovered neuroplasticity, a term which conveys the idea that the physical wiring of the brain changes according to the thoughts moving through it. As Canadian psychologist Donald Hebb put it, neurons that fire together, wire together. Neurons wire together most when a person is in a state of sustained attention. What this means is that it is possible to direct your own subjective experience of reality. Literally, if your thoughts are ones of fear, worry, anxiety, and negativity, then you grow the wiring for more of those thoughts to flourish. If you direct your thoughts to be ones of love, compassion, gratitude, and joy, you create the wiring for repeating those experiences. But how do we do that if we are surrounded by violence and suffering? Isn't this some kind of delusion or wishful thinking? Neuroplasticity is not the same as the New Age notion that you create your reality by positive thinking. It is actually the same thing that the Buddha taught 2,500 years ago. Vipassana meditation, or insight meditation, could be described as self-directed neuroplasticity. You accept your reality exactly as it is, as it actually is. But you experience it at the root level of sensation, at the vibratory or energetic level, without the prejudice or influence of thought. Through sustained attention at the root level of consciousness, the wiring for an entirely different perception of reality is created. We have got it backwards most of the time. We constantly let ideas about the outer world shape our neural networks. But our inner equanimity need not be contingent on external happenings. Circumstances don't matter. Only my state of consciousness matters. Meditation in Sanskrit means to be free of measurement, free of all comparison, to be free of all becoming. You are not trying to become something else. You are okay with what is. The way to rise above the suffering of the physical realm is to totally embrace it, to say yes to it, so it becomes something within you, rather than you being something within it. How does one live in such a way that consciousness is no longer in conflict with its content? How does one empty the heart of petty ambitions? There must be a total revolution in consciousness, a radical shift in orientation from the outer world to the inner. It is not a revolution brought about by will or effort alone, but also by surrender, acceptance of reality as it is. The image of Christ's open heart powerfully conveys the idea that one must open to all pain. One must accept all if one is to remain open to the evolutionary source. This doesn't mean you become a masochist. You don't look for pain. But when pain comes, which it inevitably does, you simply accept reality as it is, instead of craving some other reality. The Hawaiians have long believed that it is through the heart that we learn truth. The heart has its own intelligence, as distinctly as the brain does. The Egyptians believed that the heart, not the brain, was the source of human wisdom. The heart was considered the center of the soul and the personality. It was through the heart that the divine spoke, giving ancient Egyptians knowledge of their true path. This papyrus depicts the weighing of the heart. It was considered a good thing to go into the afterlife with a light heart. It meant that you had lived well. One universal or archetypal stage that people experience in the process of awakening the heart center is the experience of one's own energy as the energy of the universe. When you meditate and observe sensations within, your inner aliveness, you are actually observing change. This force of change is the arising and passing away as energy changes form. The degree to which a person has evolved or become enlightened is the degree to which one has gained the ability to adapt to each moment, or to transmute the constantly changing human stream of circumstances, pain and pleasure, into bliss. Leo Tolstoy, author of War and Peace, said, "Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing him or herself." Darwin said the most important characteristic for the survival of a species is not strength or intelligence, but adaptability to change. One must become adept at adapting. This is the Buddhist teaching of Nietzsche. Everything is arising and passing away, changing, constantly changing. Suffering exists only because we become attached to a particular form. In order to open your heart, you must open yourself to change. To live in the seemingly solid world, dance with it, engage with it, live fully, love fully, but yet know that it is impermanent, and that ultimately all forms dissolve and change. Bliss is the energy that responds to stillness. It comes from emptying consciousness of all content. The content of this bliss energy born of stillness is consciousness, a new consciousness of the heart, a consciousness that is connected to all that is.